Hello and welcome to this video in which I will discuss with you the concept of enterprise risk management. Enterprise risk management is very important concept which everyone who wants to learn risk and risk management needs to know. Enterprise risk management is very critical for every business organization because it helps them to capitalize on opportunities as well as to manage risk. So, enterprise risk management acts as an enabler for achieving objectives for any organization. However, in order to understand this concept, I will first take you through um, what is called as the concept itself, which means I will discuss with you what is ERM. In order to understand ERM, we will look at some of the famous or known definitions of ERM. These definitions basically incorporate key aspects of ERM, which you will get to know in subsequent slides. So first is the COSO approach on ERM. So has defined ERM as the culture, capability, and process. Now these are the three important words in the COSO definition, which are integrated with strategy setting and performance of an organization that organizations rely on to manage risk in creating, preserving, and realizing value. So it's very clear that every organization has that key objective of creating, preserving, and realizing value. And to do that, it needs to manage risk. So how will you manage risk if you have to create, preserve and realize value? So to do that, you should have the right culture, capabilities and practices, and these should be integrated with strategy setting and performance, right? So broadly, the COSO framework gives us a good understanding of what should be ERM. Okay, so what are the highlights from the definition that we have just seen? So it focuses on integration with strategy and performance. That is what is the objective of ERM. Emphasizes on value creation and preservation, right? That's very important in ERM. And views ERM as a part of organizational culture and capabilities. That is something that we cannot overlook or deny, right? That's very important in the ERM framework also. Now, if you look at three important words, culture, capabilities, and practices, I think we need to understand these three things in detail in order to get the idea about this COSO framework. So, culture is nothing but shared values, beliefs, and behavior across the organization. This is what we call as the culture. Uh, it helps in shaping risk perception and responses in an organization. Additionally, it sets tone for risk awareness. So if you have shared beliefs, values, and behaviors across organization about risk, you are going to help achieve some of the aspects of ERM that you need to look at. Example could be many, but risk aware culture promotes proactive risk identification and escalation. So if employees know about the risk, right? They will immediately work proactively for risk identification, which will help an organization to manage the risk. Capabilities, the skills, resources, tools, and competencies available. You need all these to manage risk. You need skills, you need resources, right? You need tools and competencies, okay, so that the risk can be managed. So you may need, for example, software to manage some element of market risk. You may need fire extinguishers, to take care of certain aspects of related to fire, okay. You need to have an IT policy in place in order to ensure that passwords are duly taken care of. No compromise happens on that. System level security. Adequate training. All those are part of your capabilities, right? Or rather, they build capabilities. It enables organization to manage uncertainty and seize opportunity. That's how we look at it. Example could be advanced analytics to predict and assess financial risks. Final thing is the practices, processes, and routines embedded in the daily operations for managing the risk. Right? So it operationalizes ERM, ensures consistent application across organization, and examples could be regular risk assessment, key risk indicators, risk reporting, compliance procedures. All these are part of culture, capabilities, and practices. So In this definition, now you can relate to the fact that why organizations need culture, capabilities, and practices which should be integrated with strategy setting and performance that organizations rely on to manage risk in creating, preserving, and realizing value. That's what COSO talks about. Now, ISO 31000 does not use the word ERM, but it uses the word risk management, and it says that it is the coordinated activities to direct and control an organization with respect to risk. So, it is focusing on direction and control part. Okay, it is a structured and comprehensive approach. Okay, integration into all organization process and applicable to strategic, operational, and project level. So that's how ISO 31000 looks at risk management, not essentially enterprise risk management, but broader risk management. So we can see that it is talking about coordinated activities to direct and control an organization with regard to risk. Now we have Institute of Internal Auditors who also have given a definition of ERM, which says enterprise risk management is a structured, consistent, and continuous process across whole organization. So it's very clear that it's a very comprehensive approach. It is not applicable to one function or one activity. It is for the entire organization for identifying, assessing, and deciding on responses to and reporting on opportunities and threats that affect the achievement of its objective, right? So it is talking about identifying, assessing, and deciding on responses to and reporting opportunities and threats. So as I said in the beginning, ERM is also about threat as much as about opportunities that affect the achievement of its objectives, right? So organizations actually work on ERM to ensure that they are able to capitalize on threats as well as opportunities, and in the end they will achieve the objectives that they have put in place. So ERM is structured, consistent, and continuous. That is what IIA says, covers both opportunities and threats and aligned to organizational objectives. If we look at APRA, which is Australian Prudential Regulation Authority, it says the ERM is the process by which risks are identified, assessed, managed, monitored, and reported on a continuous basis by an organization and is applied in consistent manner across entire business. Now, this is where it is talking about all the steps: identification, assessment, management, monitoring, and reporting. All these things have to be part of ERM framework. It emphasizes on the fact that there has to be a consistency, monitoring, and reporting that should be the hallmark of ERM. Strong regulatory compliance angle is also there in this particular approach of APRA. Now, Basel Committee, basically it is taking the definition from COSO only, refined it a little bit, and said that ERM is the process effected by entities' board of directors, management, and other personnel, applied in strategy setting across the organization, designed to identify potential events that may affect the entity and manage risk to be within its risk appetite, to provide reasonable assurances regarding achievement of entities' objectives. Now, this is what is the definition given by of ERM given by COSO, which has been kind of adopted by Basel Committee, and it is more or less the same, which was the previous definition. So ERM has modified its definition recently. We looked at the latest one in this slide, but what has been done by Basel Committee, that they have kind of used the previous definition of ERM given by Basel Committee. So we looked at five definitions: COSO, ISO, IIA, APRA, Basel Committee. Now, looking at all these five definitions, we can say that these are the key aspects of ERM, right? Strategic alignment. ERM aligns risk management with organization strategies and objectives. That is one. Holistic view. It considers all types of risk. So it's very comprehensive. It's not something which is narrow. Integration. Risk management is embedded in all business processes and not treated as a siloed activity. Risk appetite and tolerance. That is what ERM also focuses on. ERM ensures risks are managed within defined limits. Risk appetite and tolerance. Value protection and creation. Uh, ERM is very important from the perspective of protecting the value, but also as an enabler for better decision making and performance. What else in the ERM aspects? So we have three more things: dynamic and continuous. ERM is an ongoing process, responses to change in internal and external environments which are there. Governance and accountability. So it starts at the board level. Basically, risk itself is a top-down approach, which means when you manage risk, the risk management starts from the top, not from the bottom, right? So that's very important. And communication and reporting. Communication and reporting basically means that ERM is focusing on the fact that risk must be or risk information is shared across organization and reported regularly for informed action. So these are the 8 aspects which I am repeating: strategic alignment, holistic view, integration, risk appetite and tolerance, value protection and creation, dynamic and continuous, governance and accountability, and communication and reporting. So the idea behind making this video was to give you an idea about what is ERM. I hope you are able to get some understanding of ERM. Thank you for your time in watching this video.